One. Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to be the one to tell you the bad news, but unfortunately, I'm going to be opting out of the 2020 podcasting season. I know I'm inside and I shouldn't have to worry about the COVID, but I am. Good afternoon and welcome to the podcast. I'm Nick Drago, and contrary to popular belief, I will not be opting out of the 2020 season, because then who's going to talk about the sports? Today on the show, we got Stanley Cup playoffs. We're going to update you on all the games that occurred this weekend. Plus, we got to talk about the NBA restart, the St. Louis Cardinals, and all of the NFL players that are opting out of the 2020 season. Stick with us, friends, because sports starts now. And welcome to the Sports Podcast with me, your host, Nick Drago. For those of you that are new to the show, welcome to my humble abode. This is actually the last week we're going to be in this lovely studio, aka my spare bedroom. Instead, we'll be moving to my new house. Yep, I bought one of those into that spare bedroom. But it's gonna look nice, I think, and hope. I have no idea. It could look terrible, but we're going to make it work, America, because that's what we do on Sports with Nick Drago. If you like what you hear today, find me on Soundcloud, Twitter, YouTube, and the Facebook. Just type in Sports with Nick Drago. That's me. You can also find me on SoundCloud, Twitter, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Stitcher, all your favorite podcasting apps that I just can't remember right now. We are on Spotify. That's the new one. I remember that. All right. Well, my weekend's been okay, just moving stuff to and fro. You can see every week for the last few weeks I've had less and less things in here. That's for the people watching us on YouTube. We get a lot of viewers on the through SoundCloud and the podcasting app, so you guys can't really see me right now. But if you want to go to the YouTube page and look at the background and then compare it to previous weeks, you are more than welcome to do that, friends. Okay, why don't we start with this? There were a lot of NBA games this weekend, and I want to kind of talk about them. Is that cool with you? Because that's cool with me. All right, let's get to it. On Thursday, the Pelicans fell to the Jazz 106-104. Lakers just barely beating the Clippers 103-101. Anthony Davis having a fantastic game for the Lakers, 34 points. Moving on to Friday, the Magic got a win over the Nets, 128-118. Wizards fell to the Suns, 125-112. And the Trailblazers got a nice win in overtime against the Grizzlies, 140-135. Of course, the Trailblazers blazing the way with McCallum and Lillard. McCallum with 33 points, Lillard with 29. And Carmelo Anthony, yep, he's still around and he's still playing hard. 21 points for Melo. Celtics fell to the Bucks 119-112. Now that's an important matchup to look for because it's very likely these two teams could come down to the end of the Eastern Conference Final. Marcus Smart with 23, Jaylen Brown with 22, and for the Bucks, of course, the Greek freak Giannis with 37 points. Spurs beat the Kings 129-120. Rockets beat the Mavericks in overtime 153-149. I'm telling you, the Rockets are going to be a force to be reckoned with. James Harden, 49 points. Russell Westbrook with 31. With the Mavericks, of course, Doncic with 28. Porzingis with 39. You know, the Knicks would love to still have him around. Yesterday's games, the Heat beat the Nuggets 125-105. Jazz fall to the Thunder 110-94. Clippers beat the Pelicans 128-103. And the Pacers beat the 76ers 126-121. Raptors getting a win over the Lakers. Now that is huge. Raptors get a win over the Lakers. LeBron held to 20 points. Meanwhile, Kyle Lowry with 33. I'm telling you, I like this Raptors team. Could be seeing them in the finals. Nets beat the Wizards 118-110. Celtics beat the Trailblazers just barely 128-124. And the Spurs got a win over the Grizzlies 108-106. Right now, the Kings are losing to the Magic 78-54, and then a late night tonight, the Bucks and the Rockets. I'm definitely going to tune into that one. You should too. Giannis and Harden, although by the time this airs, that game will be long done. But we'll see what happens. Mavericks, and they're playing the Suns today. Some upcoming games: Raptors Heat, Wizards Pacers, Nuggets playing the Thunder, Grizzlies and the Pelicans, 76ers and Spurs, Lakers and Jazz, and that's all only on Monday. Exciting stuff going on all around. Let's take a look quick at the standings. The Bucks right now are on top, followed by the Raptors, Celtics, Heat, Pacers, 76ers. And then you have the Magic and the Nets. They're the only two teams that have not clinched yet. The Wizards have a very slim chance, and then after that, everybody else is terrible. Going over to the West, you got the Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, Jazz, Thunder, and Rockets. The Mavericks are really close, and based on what we've seen from them so far this weekend, I like what the Mavericks are doing. I definitely see them getting in. Grizzlies and Trailblazers, it's going to be close between those two. The Trailblazers are really good, although that loss to Boston is going to hurt them. Moving over to the NHL, the Stanley Cup playoffs have begun, and of course, it was a wild start to those playoffs. The Hurricanes got a win over the Rangers, 3-2. Rangers had to start Henrik Lundqvist, who let up a goal in the first minute of the game. Hurricanes did not relent after that and stayed ahead the entire time. The Blackhawks surprisingly got a win 6-4 over the Oilers. Blackhawks scored 4 goals in the first period before Connor McDavid could find the back of the net. 2 of those goals credited to Jonathan Toews. Remember, the Blackhawks do have a lot of playoff experience. They are not someone you just lay down for. And the Oilers don't have a ton of playoff experience, and so that's going to hold them back. Could be a real series. Islanders got a win over the Panthers 2-1. No goals for Florida until Huberdeau with a I just love how to say that name. Huberdeau. Hit a goal within the first few seconds of the third period, but by then it really wasn't enough. Islanders won it 2-1. The Penguins fell to the Montreal Canadiens. I want to cry a little bit after reading this. Listen, the young upstart Canadiens, they are fast, they have some talent, and they have Carey Price in net. Pittsburgh, meanwhile, looked really good the entire game, just could not get it past Carey Price. They had a couple of really great chancers. Connor Sheary with a breakaway chance late in the game. And then the Canadiens actually had a breakaway chance. What am I thinking of? Oh my goodness. Penalty shot. They had a penalty shot in overtime that couldn't get past Matt Murray. Flames and the Jets played a late one as well. Flames scored 4 goals, 3 of which in the second period, thanks to Gaudreau, Ryder, and Backlund. The big scare, though, is for the Jets. Scheifele went down early in the game. It did not look good, and Winnipeg could be without one of their best players. As far as the Sunday games go, let's head over to Sunday. Right now, the Blues and Avalanche are toe-to-toe in the second period. Avalanche 17 shots on goals. The Blues only recording 5 so far. But David Perron has them ahead. Blue Jackets play the Maple Leafs. That's at 8. Canucks and the Wild at 10:30. The Coyotes getting a win over the Preds, 4-3. 3 early goals for the Coyote by Ekman Larson, Dvorak, Keller. Nashville just couldn't keep up. They're a slower team. They're an older team. The Flyers getting a win over the Bruins. And I got to say, Philly's looking pretty good so far. I hate to say that, but I'm going to have to say it. Halak started for Boston with Tuukka Rask out, and Carter Hart just took control of this entire thing. So a good win for the Flyers. All right, baseball. Now, a lot of teams right now are in flux. The Marlins have over 19 positive tests. The Cardinals, I don't even know how many tests they're up to, but I know it's at least one player and 3 staff members. There are reports that the Cardinals were out at a casino this past weekend or a couple days ago, and that could have been where somebody caught corona. I don't really know. The point of the matter is the Marlins, the Phillies, and now it looks like the Cardinals are not going to be playing games for a little bit. What does that mean for the teams they're supposed to play? We don't know. There could be a bunch of doubleheaders. Maybe they'll add another week or two to the end of the season. We're still waiting to find out. The Yankees lost a couple of games there. They'll have to make up through some means somehow. I don't really have much of an answer for you there. But the scary part here is that what happens? Are players going to feel comfortable continuing to play? Are they going to opt out like they are for football? I'm not really sure, but one player in particular has definitely made his thoughts known. Giannis Cespedes. You guys remember him, right? He was a firecracker for the Athletics way back 5 or so years ago. Signed a nice deal with the Mets and basically signed away the rest of his life. Come on, guys. You know how it goes. You sign with the Mets, it's going to end badly. Cespedes, of course, was in and out of the rotation, the roster, the lineup, whatever, due to injuries and whatnot. The guy hasn't played in 2 years, finally comes back this season, and granted, he was like 0 for 31 with 15 strikeouts in 8 games this season. So that's pretty bad. Anywho, so Mets general manager Brodie Van Wagenen, the team was getting ready for their game against the Braves, and Van Wagenen happened to notice that Cespedes wasn't around or didn't show up. So he called the hotel they were staying at, called security. Security couldn't track the guy down. When they went into his room, all of his stuff was gone. Where did he go? He opted out of the season and didn't tell anybody. So the Mets were more so worried, like, is he okay? Did something bad happen? And Cespedes is just said, screw it, I'm going to go home. So a weird end to a weird couple of years in New York for Giannis Cespedes. That's right, his contract is up this year. And honestly, what did I say, 1 for 31? Or is he 0 for 31? He was 5 for 31. I'm sorry, he was 5 for 31 with 15 strikeouts. Might not bode well on the free agent market, buddy. You're 35 years old. I think you maybe wanted to play the rest of the season, but whatever. Maybe the Mets will just release you. I don't know if they can. I don't know if a player can be released if they opt out. In football, they definitely can. The rule is in football they were given a specific date and time as to when, and NFL started freaking out when a lot of players were opting out, and so they actually moved the deadline up to make it so maybe less players would opt out. Because you know how it's going to work. The more players that do opt out, the more players that do opt out, the more players that are going to want to opt out, because they'll just start seeing the momentum rolling. So why don't we take a quick peek at that list of NFL players that are opting out. And here are the players opting out for the NFL season. You got the 49ers with nobody. Right now for the Bears, it's Eddie Goldman. The Bengals, Josh DePoo. For the Bills, Star Lotulelei. I love that name. Plus EJ Gaines. For the Broncos, Kyle Pico. For the Browns, we have Drake Dorbeck and Drew Forbes. Nobody for the Bucks. Nobody for the Cardinals. We got stuck there. Nobody for the Chargers. For the Chiefs, you have 2 players, Laurent Duvernay, Tardif, and Damian Williams. Now, that's going to hurt for the Chiefs. Did I say the Rams? I think I said the Rams. I don't even know anymore. That's for the Chiefs. The Colts, nobody. For the Cowboys, you have Kennedy, Guidry, and Alawale all sitting out. For the Dolphins, there's nobody. For the Eagles, Marquise Goodwin. No one for the Falcons. For the Giants, Solder and Damari Scott will both be out. Jaguars will lose Laren T. McRae and Al Woods. For the Jets, oh God, how do I say that name? What the? Leo Koloamatangi. Or is it Matangibles? Leo, and also C.J. Mosley. That's going to hurt for the Jets, losing the linebacker Mosley. For the Lions, John Atkins, Geronimo Allison. Wow, I love that name too. For the Packers, Devin Funchess. Now that hurts because he is a fantastic receiver. Jordan Mack will sit out for the Panthers. And for the Patriots, Brandon Bolden, Marcus Colt, Cannon, Patrick Chung, Donta Hightower, Marquise Lee, Najee Torin, Danny Vitale, and Matt LaCrosse. So basically the entire Patriots team. And I'm okay with that. For the Raiders, no one. Rams, no one. For the Ravens, Andre Smith and DeAnthony Thomas. The Saints are going to lose Jason Vanderlaan and Cole Wick. So both of their two of their tight ends. For the Seahawks, Chance Warmack. Steelers lose no one. Texas lose Eddie Vanderdoes. For the Titans, Anthony McKinney. For the Vikings, Michael Price. And for Washington football team, Caleb Brantley. There's one other group that I want to talk about today. Usually we focus on the big four sports and sporadically sprinkle in some other ones. But we have to talk about the NCAA. So this past weekend, news broke that the Power 5 conferences, the 5 biggest conferences in college football, are talking about holding their own championships in completely disregarding the NCAA. So if the NCAA cancels their sports, they are going to continue to play and just play among themselves. Now, this is a little scary because it basically means they don't need the NCAA and could totally split from them altogether. Now, the Power 5 conferences are the ACC, Big Ten, Big Ten, Big 12, Pac-12, SEC, plus Notre Dame is probably going to go along with that too. Notre Dame is an independent team, so they can really do whatever they effing want. So we could still be seeing college football this year as some of those teams decide to sponsor their own championship, and the other 30 or so FBS teams will sit home on the couch. I don't know. This could be the beginning of the end for the NCAA. Now, there's been a lot of talks about, them sort of going the way of Old Yeller over the last few years. A lot of issues happening in football and in basketball with, in the NCAA versus those bigger conferences. So only time will tell, but I would keep your ear to the ground on this one. The breakaway could occur very soon, and it could only be a matter of time. With that, we're going to end the show for today. As usual, special thanks to... Who do I like to thank? I'm just kidding. Johanna Drago, my wife. She's also the content editor, logo designer, and set designer for this podcast, although the set is looking a little sad right now, so we're going to have to get her back to work on whatever our next set's going to be. She does all of those things. The music you hear for the show is a song called Golden Sunrise by Josh Woodward. A link to his website can be found in the show notes. Special thanks, per usual, to Mary Kay and Gary Albert, my in-laws, who will be helping us on our move this weekend. We're looking forward to it. Thanks for listening and sharing and everything else. And, also our other social media warriors, Joe Calabro, Jorge Pajares, who joined us earlier in the week to talk NBA championship. If you haven't tuned into that podcast, go back and watch it. Jorge and I had a lovely conversation, and I think you would enjoy listening. And I think that's it. Everyone, thank you so much for coming in. If you like what you heard, again, you can find me on SoundCloud, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Just type in Sports with Nick Drago. You can email me directly, sports3xpodcast@gmail.com. And I'm done. I decided not to opt out. Instead, I'm going to opt in for more sports next week. So stick with us, friends, because sports will be back in 1 week. Caw-caw!